Whoa, yo, what's up? I said, I have no idea what I tried to just say then. Whoa and yo at the same time. What's up, everybody? If you don't know me already, I'm James. I'm a product designer. I like designing tech stuff, music tech stuff especially. And in these streams, I'm working on the design of a hardware digital drum machine. So a hardware device, it's a drum machine. For those of you that do know me, God, I'm struggling already. I'm back after 2 weeks or so of being running around all over Europe, exploring. I'm back. I didn't give up on the project. I've just been busy. But good to be back. And Elk, what's up? Thank you for joining the stream. Love having you here as always. Missed you. Stream Elements, thank you for writing that chat message. So nice of you. Such a friendly bot. Yeah, so what I'm doing here is, as usual, working in SolidWorks on this hardware drum machine design, mechanical design, industrial design, however you want to call it. You made my wife blush. Miss you too, bro. Good to have you back, man. And good to be back. So, if you watched the last stream, I know Elk did, and hopefully a few other people did, after the live. But in the last stream, I had a couple of the other guys from the project in the stream with me, and we talked a lot. We looked at CAD, looked at what had been done already. We looked at a design document, which is basically like our brief of, the kind of targets that we want to hit, the decisions that we need to make, what sort of features we're expecting to have, what things we might want to test, what components we might want to use, all those kinds of things. And it was great having Elk there, asking lots of questions, and great having the guys there to be able to answer them, because a lot of the time, the more usability side of the drum machine is a bit harder for me to answer, because I have never actually really learned how to use a drum machine properly. So for me, this is more of a design project, and but I'm also aware of music production. I produce music and stuff myself, so kind of keeping that in mind while designing. But something we came up with in the last stream was that this design is sort of a bit towards a final design. Sorry, I just realized I should have said, by the way, hi to Elk's wife. Since I made you blush, I should say hi. Nice to have you watching as well. Back to what I was saying. So we realized that this design here is quite close to what the final design will be. And in a sense, it probably makes sense to keep working on this, but more aimed at like a first production prototype, like a electronic evaluation or a design evaluation or that kind of thing. So it might even make more sense that I take out this full-size Raspberry Pi out of here and start working with something more like what the final design would be, which might be some other SoC or SOM that slides in onto a SODIMM socket, or something like the Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4, which is just a smaller version of this that clips in. Because we know in the final design we don't need all these USB ports and stuff, and HDMI ports, so we won't use a full-size Raspberry Pi in the final product, but we plan to use that in like the prototyping stage, just to easily plug things together and try things out. We need a jog wheel on that bad boy? Potentially it'll have a jog wheel, not sure. Everything is still in the open. But yeah, so what we discussed is that probably the prototype which uses this full-size Raspberry Pi should be something significantly more lo-fi. So we talked about essentially having like basically just having like a plate. Maybe I can do a quick paint sketch to give an idea of what I'm talking about. Basically we could have like an acrylic board like this, where we would have a cutout in the middle for a display, something like this. I don't know what size it's going to be yet. And then basically just, can I copy and paste in Paint? No. No, it doesn't work like that. Basically just like a grid of, this is going to look real sketchy, of square holes that are all the same size and just laid out in a big grid. So it's going to be like just a big mesh with holes everywhere in it. I'm doing this very messy because I don't have time to, you know what I mean. Big old plate with lots and lots of holes in it for buttons. And then we would also have lots of holes in it for knobs, so encoders, and they would be kind of scattered around in between the button holes. I know this looks ridiculous. It'll be a lot neater than this, but you get the idea. So basically just a big plate with a lot of holes in it. And that'll give us the flexibility to be able to plug in switches. Actually, this is something kind of similar here. So let me try and focus the camera. See, this is just a grid and it has switches in it. So these are keyboard switches, and you can pull it out and plug it into a different hole. So now I've got it here. And essentially what we can do is attach wires onto this, put it through the hole, plug it in, and then get those wires and plug them into the Raspberry Pi. And then we can go, okay, this button, yeah, the autofocus is working okay. It has its moments. So we can say, okay, let's say this is like a play button or something, and we go, actually, maybe it'd be better if the play button was like here. So we unplug it, put it back through, plug it in, put it here, and it just clicks in. Just clips into place without any screws or glue or anything. And then, okay, now we have a play button up here. So yeah, essentially we have this drawing is so bad. Essentially we would have this layout with all these holes, and we can go, okay, let's put a button here. Actually, it doesn't work there. Let's put some here. Or actually, we need more buttons. Let's put a couple buttons here, buttons here. Let's put knobs here. Actually, or maybe we also need a volume knob. Let's put a volume knob here. You know what I mean? Like, so we can use some I/O expander for the that drawing is rust mapped here. What Elk is talking about is this. Yeah, it's my Rust overlay for streaming Rust to hide the map. Yes, it is Rust mapped here, but it demonstrates a point. So yeah, basically it's a modular kind of HMI interface, controller interface. Then underneath that, in the middle we'll have a display, and there'll be a Pi plugged in directly to the back of the display. And maybe I'll put some legs on it just to lift it up off the ground. And then yeah, it's going to be plug and play. So we can build this, get a bunch of buttons, get a bunch of knobs, and just try out some different layouts, some different functionality, those kinds of things. So yeah, this is what I'm going to work on now. It's going to be a separate CAD model because I don't want to interfere with the current CAD model. And it should be pretty quick. I might even be able to get most of it done in this stream. If not, then in the next stream. And then the goal will be to to just get some 3mm acrylic, like very similar to this. This is actually 5mm, I think. And this is laser cut. So I'll take this drawing from SolidWorks, put it into the laser cutter, and it just goes around, cuts everything out. Then we just have a big plate, and we can use this plate exactly like this, but we'll have a display on there and a pie. So that's the plan. Let's get stuck into it. So I'll make a new folder to put this in. I'm gonna call it 0.1 LBM Proto. I think that naming makes sense. Maybe I'll call it Proto 1. I know that's like, maybe I'll show, actually, I don't have anything to hide here. Yeah, it should be fine. So I will call it Proto 1 because it's like, this 0.1 is the version of the CAD, but the Proto 1 is like a design. So I know this design is going to be different to this. It's actually a different design altogether. So that's where I'm going to put it. And I'll call it something like this, but with Proto in the name, Proto 1. Actually, this is not important, but I'm OCD about these things. Underscore Proto -1. I'll do that. Okay. New part. Let's make the background white because I hate this weird shadow stuff. And make a square. Will we get to choose our key switches? Potentially. Got to get those cherry reds. So these ones here are, they are Kale Chalk low profile. So they're really low, like they're short. We may or may not need low profile to actually fit in the enclosure, but what I like about low profile switches is the travel is shorter. And I think having short travel for like these time-based devices, like for hitting tap tempo, play pause, those kinds of things, the time to activation is going to be faster, so I feel like it's going to be more accurate. That being said, Cherry MX, or Cherry does make a low profile MX switch, so we could use those as well. But they should be interchangeable actually with the Kale ones, so I don't know. Depending on how much customizability we want to have or how many SKUs we want to have, like we might sell it just with one type of switch and say you can hot swap them, or I don't know. Maybe we give you the option to choose what you want, but to be honest, the Kale is pretty good. Definitely a good substitute for Cherry. Okay, now I'm gonna make it roughly the same size as the other one, I think. Might even make it a little bit bigger, because it doesn't matter how big this thing is. Because we can make it smaller. I mean, we can make the final thing smaller. Top reference, here we go. 380 by 260. So the laser cutting bed that I have access to is 300 by 600, so that should fit fine. I might even make it a little bit bigger. So like, maybe I'll make it 280 by 400. Yeah, I can try that. And I can make it wider if we need. So 280 by, maybe I'll make it that big. 460? Why not? How big is 460? Oh, that's pretty big. It's pretty big. This is big. I think I'll go 400 by, I can't do 300 because it'd be too tall. Could probably do 290 max, but I'll make it 280. 280 by 400. Or should I do 420, blaze it? 420? It's pretty big. Fuck it, let's do 420 for the lols. I'll send it. 420 it is. Alright. This can be called top reference. So I've got to figure out some way to make like a grid. On the front, I'm just going to do this to show the depth. Like this is all basically going to be 2D design because laser cutter can only cut 2D. But I'll just put that there to show the thickness. Front reference. Okay, so what do I want to do? I'm thinking like if I can design a grid that has circles and can I make like another tab of this? Because I kind of want to keep this drawing. Can I open up Paint a second time? I can. Sweet. Nice. So I'm thinking something like, whoops. Like 5 squares like this. Initially I was thinking like I could put circles in the corners, but the problem with that is that then I can't have knobs that are in line with squares. Knobs that are in line with buttons. So I might have to do something like Oops. God, paint is such a great tool, isn't it? Maybe I'll do something like this. Would this be dumb? Oops. And then I could have like 3mm hole in the middle that can be used for mounting. I'm just worried that like these parts will be susceptible to breaking. What I meant about, oops, this little mounting hole is like in case I want to have like a standoff or something, a screw going through it, because these will be big enough for knobs and this will only be big enough for screws. Or could I make something where it's all squares, but I could insert, like if we want a knob in there, I could insert something into there to mount the knob onto. Because what I'm thinking is like, I don't know what we want to be bordering the display. So like maybe we want all buttons along here, or maybe we want all knobs along here. And maybe we want all buttons along here, maybe we want all knobs along here. So it'd be cool if the holes can be either or. So potentially, like when I cut out these shapes with the laser cutter, I'm gonna have these little pieces of plastic left over that it cuts out. I could put holes in them, and then I would just need to figure out like if I put that in this square, how do I keep it in there? Like maybe I could put a washer on either side of it or something that's bigger than the hole, and that would hold it in there. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Possibly. I'm going to run with that idea. Otherwise, I'm just sitting here like... I could just sit here thinking about it for ages, and then you could watch me just going... Or I can just do it. So let's do it. I'm always tempted to just do it in one sketch because the layout and the the size of the squares and the distance between the squares will kind of determine how big it should be. If you know what I mean. Like maybe I should just do it in this sketch. Let's try. So basically I would have a bunch of squares with equal sides and circles in the middle of them. Make that horizontal. Okay, so that circle's in the middle. Then I would have let me delete this for now. I need to have my display hole. I don't know how big that's going to be yet. These should be driven because they're going to be dictated by the number of squares and the size of the squares. Square, I think, needs to be, from my last test, I think it was about 13.6 or 13.7 millimeters. Right. I'll put it here. Let's say 13.6 for now. And this hole for an encoder, I think the encoder has an M7 thread, so I guess it should be 7 millimeters. Let me double check that. Let me save this. So .1 LDM proto 1 SK skeleton. No. Can you just give me the diameter? Radius 3.5, so yeah, it's 7 millimeters. Usually the thread's a little bit smaller than what it's supposed to be. So 7 millimeter hole I think is fine. Then probably the first one can be here next to the display in the middle. Or maybe to the right, I don't know. Now another thing, I need to put in the actual size of the display. Maybe I should figure that out right now. So, give me a second. Let me find the display we were looking at. We were looking at, so initially, what I'd been working with on, sorry, give me 1 second, I'll visually explain this. Okay, so initially what I was working with here is a 16 by 9 display. So general normal aspect ratio for like a TV or computer monitor or whatever else, YouTube videos, those kinds of things. We've been thinking a bit more about this display size, and the fact that you can only really fit 6 knobs along the top is a bit potentially too few. And we want to have 8 tracks on the drum machine, so 8 drum tracks. And it would be cool to have a mixer page where you can have 1 knob per track. So ideally, the thing would have 8 knobs. So the display needs to be a bit wider. It doesn't necessarily need to be this tall. So we were looking at a display like this. This is a 7.9 inch 400 by 1280 display. It's a lot wider and less tall, so that would allow us to fit 8 knobs along the top. And we're still planning to test with one of these displays as well, just so we can see pros and cons. But and I probably will have to make a version of this proto with one of these displays too, but got to do one at a time. That's pretty large, Broham. Which one's large? The one that I have in the CAD or this one here? So what I'll do, the 8 inch. Yeah, so, oops. We're looking at a 7 inch, a 7 inch 16 by 9. So actually it'll be less tall than this one. It'll just be wider. So I think it's roughly a similar size, but more squeezed, if you get what I mean. Let me actually see if I can find something on this website that would be an alternative, and then we can get real dimensions. Because the one that I've been using in the CAD, it's just a made up size. So we need a 7 inch. Does this website have filters? Yes. And it's in a different language. Fantastic. I think this is Dutch. Here we go. Old Schermgroot. 7 inch. Touchscreen, DSI, HDMI, display backpack, touchscreen. Which one? What will be the overall dimensions on that unit? I'll have to make some measurements. Don't know yet. Can't tell you. Maybe it's 300 by 420. Maybe it's 200 by 300. I don't know. We got to see what we need and how much space it takes to fit it. Okay, so this one is DSI, this one's DSI, and this one's HDMI. Does this not have HDMI? I guess not. But it does plug directly into the Pi. Wish this was in English, hey? Maybe I can change the tal. There we go. Verde. Okay. Capacitive, 10 finger capacitive touch. What's this one? It doesn't look like capacitive touch, I don't think. But it doesn't say. Doesn't say. So I'm probably going to go with the other one. I think. What's this one? Pi DSI touchscreen. Capacitive touchscreen, 5 touch points. Maybe that could be fine, but yeah. I think this one's potentially a better option. So if you see this is like the size of this is 10 centimeters by 16 centimeters, whereas this one is almost, well, it's 19 centimeters. Sorry, 20 centimeters instead of 16, but then only 7 centimeters tall instead of 10. So it is wider, but less tall. So gonna run with these two for now. So let's start with this one. And I think we want the actual whole display to fit in this hole. I don't exactly know how to mount it yet. Yeah, I don't know. Could use these mounting screw holes. Or we could just like sticky tape it in there. Just to be janky, you know? But regardless, so we got, let's make a hole that's 70 by 208. Then it should fit perfectly in there. 70 by 208. Wrong one. Oops. 208. 70. I can show you like the difference between the screen sizes actually. So if I get this one and go how can I find the dimensions? Um, 190 by 110. Okay. So you can see that would be the difference in the two screen sizes. So it gets slightly wider, but a lot less tall. So it actually really makes it you know what I'm gonna do? put these in here. What's the aspect ratio of this thing? 1280 by 400. What's that? 1280 by 400 aspect ratio. 8 by 3. Okay. So this is 8 by 3. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to put in, like, this is the outside dimensions of the display. I want to put in like the actual screen size. You know what I mean? Like the viewable viewing area. Which is bear with me. Viewing area is 155 by 86. And 55. Let's make this all for construction. No, okay. So that's the actual screen size and the viewable area. And then we're going to do the same thing with this one. So that's the screen size. Viewable area is what? 60.4 by, let's say 191. Just say, yeah. I'll do it exact. 60.4 by 191.8. Sixty point four 191.8. Okay. Okay, so that's the actual viewable area, the viewing area. The area with display on it. So you can see the dotted lines is the difference between the actual screen width. So it's wider than it is shorter. Like this distance is less than this distance. So we gain a lot of width and we lose a decent amount of height, but that, you know, maybe we don't need that height. Means we can fit more knobs along this edge, but it also means that we're not gonna have a crazy amount of what do you call it? Like screen to body ratio or whatever. Like we don't want a huge screen in the middle of it. Long story short. So let me get rid of most of this. Okay, so that's the hole we need for the display, and this is the actual dimensions of the display. I can turn off this one. So if I want 8 of these evenly spaced, can do that. Hello. So we need 4 there, 4 here. Need all these to be equal. Need all these to be equal. Come on. Need a shortcut for construction lines. All right. Get all these. Make them all horizontal. No, they don't want to be horizontal. Whatever. Make them all equal. Oh, they are all horizontal. Okay, that worked. Then, this should be equal to this. This should be equal to this. And then we want the midpoint of this line here. And the midpoint of this line here. And then they should be evenly spaced. Yeah, so then each knob has the equal amount of screen to the left and right of it. So if I was to divide up the screen like this, this distance to the edge of the screen should be the same as this one. What is it? 23.98, and this one is 23.98. It's perfect. And then we have how much gap between buttons? 10 millimeters. It should be pretty strong. Yeah, then we just need to figure out what vertical spacing to have. I don't know, like initially I was thinking maybe I'd just do like a pattern and pattern it across the whole thing. But I don't think that makes sense. Because I think it's going to be like if I put another of these here, like this. Then that's not going to be able to go down here, you know? So this one doesn't make any sense to have here. Because I want buttons along the edges, buttons or knobs. So let's get rid of that And let's figure out what we want down the sides. By the way, Elk, I haven't really been chatting to you, sorry. I've gotten too focused. I noticed that you posted a bunch of stuff on Instagram, which is cool. Like you're getting some of your older stuff and some of the stuff you haven't posted before out there. I think that's a good idea. I haven't been able to watch all of it because the last couple of weeks has been pretty crazy, but yeah, it was cool to see that you were posting so much stuff. Yeah, just my older stuff mostly. I'm recording daily for the most part right now. Oh, sick. Like recording music or videos? Okay, I don't think 4 buttons is gonna work along the side of the screen, but maybe 3? Or maybe just 2. Also, I saw that you're just running the 3 Electron devices now. Bit of both right now. I'm learning the Electron workflow and doing some Octatrack work. Yeah, I saw you had. So you had like the Octatrack, the Digitact, and the Digitone, right? Am I right in saying that? Can't remember. I'm restricting myself for 3 boxes for the next year. Dedication. Syntact, Digitone, Octatrack Mark II. Ah, Syntact. Is that a newer one? Because Digitact and Digitone came out at the same time, right? Or roughly? I'm actually gonna do this thing with the grid. Yeah, it's a drum computer. Syntact is kind of the best hits box of Electron. Ah, it's a hybrid device. Let me look it up. I forget what it looks like. Syntact. Oops. Is that not it? What? What am I looking at? I think I've got to be more careful with my Google Images. Syntact. Okay. I remember this one. So how's the learning going? Digging into the tutorials? Digitone is my FM polysynth Syntact for drums, bass, melodic stuff. Octatrack makes it so I can have more voices. Okay. So I'm drawing these grid lines to show like how these controls would divide up the display. Actually really good. Electron stuff makes sense to me. It's nice learning a single workflow. Yeah, I can see the appeal of that, like everything working nicely together, and and working in a similar way as well. Okay. But I'm sampling the Octatrack 2 right now to get the sample library built, hooked up. The OT2, is that not no, what Octatrack 2 doesn't exist. What are we talking about? OT2. Hooked up the Octa to my DAW out channel so I can sample anything from my DAW as well. Okay. Wait, what's OT2? Oh, the Mark II. Oh yeah, there is a second one, but it was just like a color change or something, right? And like an OLED display. Okay, so you can see these grids, like this could be associated with this row, this could be associated with this row, and this one with this row. Or or I do this, and then it's just split in half. One button on either side. Split it into top and bottom like that. Or have three. How different would be these how different would these distances be? So if that's 16.6, or it can be 6.5. I don't know. What? What do you think about this, Elk? Oh, sorry, I missed your last messages. Not sure what the difference is, to be honest. I jumped on Electron after Mark II was released, and that's what I snagged. I think they added some extra buttons to reduce menu diving as well as the livery change. Okay. But it's pretty subtle changes, I guess, but that's still good. So what do you think about this? Like, this is just for the prototype, you know? But how many buttons or knobs will be along the top of the display and the side of the display? Like when there's a button here, it's going to be associated with this row of things in the display. So I can either have 3 buttons, like this display I think would fit 3 down the side, okay. Or I only do 2. Why can't I fucking... or I only do 2, so it's split like this, but then like there's a huge gap between these. You feel me? I'd do the original plan with 3, you reckon? Like this? Spacing looks too weird with the spread out buttons. Yeah, you might be right. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, I'll do it like this. Like, it's just a prototype. It's just to try things out. If we find out later that we want, that we only want like 2 knobs on one side of the display, then we could like just have it so they're not like all the way spread out like this, you know? Or we might have 2 knobs on one side and like 3 buttons on the other side. So, but yeah, I think you're right. I can just do it like this for now, and that should be cool. Okay, so I can probably just copy these to this side. Make those equal, and make these equal. And then do this. Okay. So what are you using for effects now with your Electron setup? Or are you just still doing, are you going to use other effects devices, or are you just going to use the built-in effects on the Electron gear? Oh. Oh. Still Meris pedals plus onboard. Good plan. What the fuck? Okay. And I have Arturia FX collection on like VSTs, right? I think. I'm guessing. Yeah. Nice. I was hoping to find a way to make a small hardware host that I could plug an interface into that uses a VST effect boxes. I don't think this would be powerful enough. Pi? Yeah. This was always like the hard, like the sad thing about mod, hey, is that it doesn't run VSTs. Yeah, don't know. You know what I wonder about, like these kind of devices, right? It's a small handheld device that has a PC processor in it. Like it's an x86 processor, but it's small, light, and like seems to be able to cool itself without making too much noise. It would be sick having like a pedal with a processor like this in it that can just run like some Windows app in it that runs all your VSTs in there. Like basically if a mod device had one of these processors inside it, and instead of, I mean, it could still run Linux. It doesn't need to be Windows, obviously. It can still just run x86 Linux and have VSTs on it. It's just, I don't know if like, are all VSTs that are built for Windows and Mac, will they work on Linux as well? I don't know. That thing is super small, and if I could run one of two of my Arturia effects on it, that would be perfect. Yeah, 100%. I just want a Windows guitar pedal. I can load Valhalla and Arturia effects. Right? That's what I think as well. I don't know. Somebody who's like a Linux expert could probably tell me. Like, obviously, I use Windows for my computer, and I like Windows, so I'd be happy to say like, yeah, use Windows on this thing if it makes it possible. But if it's possible with Linux, even better, because then it's free. You don't have to pay the Windows license. I just don't know. Like, all I care about is I want access to the most software available. And if all of the software, like if all of the VSTs are available on Windows and they're not available on Linux, then I'd be like, okay, let's put Windows on there. If everything's available on, if all the VSTs that are available on Windows also work on Linux, then I'm like, okay, sick, put Linux on there. But it needs to be an x86 processor, because not all VSTs are made for although that's changing because of Mac being on ARM now. But like, I don't know. We just need a device. Doesn't matter what the operating system is, doesn't matter what the architecture it is. Just choose the architecture and the operating system that has all of the plugins, all of the VSTs, and run them. That's all that matters. I just don't think these software manufacturers are making Linux capable VSTs. I don't think they're making, yeah, that's the thing. Like, this is the main reason why I use Windows. Like, I have I've talked shit about Mac on here before. I have problems with Mac in terms of like how they operate their business. But like, at the end of the day, if the majority of the software that I wanted to use was only available on Mac and it wasn't available on Windows, I'd switch to Mac. The only thing that keeps me on Windows is that's where all the tools are. And I have the most flexibility, and I mean, not the most flexibility. Obviously, Linux is more flexible, but there's not as much software, there's not as much drivers for graphics cards, all those kinds of things. So it's like, I just go with whatever option gives me the least problems and the most options. I considered using my iPad, but again, the companies don't make AUs for iPad. Yeah, that's the thing. You find out what plugins you want. Like for guitar, maybe you want Neural DSP or something, and then it's like, okay, what can run that? And most of the time it's not like an ARM-based thing or an iPad or whatever. Maybe it works on iPad, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, let's go back to this. What should this distance be? Maybe 10 millimeters? Millimeters? So, what's your next project, bro? A hardware VST host box in the form factor of the Eventide H90 with the same I/O. What's the Eventide H90 again? Yeah, I like that form factor. To be honest, there's another form factor of a different pedal that I really like, and I don't remember what it's called. It might be by Eventide. I want like 2 rows of 4 switches, like 8 switches, and then I want 2 expression pedals as well. Although they could be like optional, they could be additional things that you plug into it, I guess. Pedals. I like this kind of form factor, but not... damn, what's the one that I'm thinking of? Guitar multi-effects. I like... So Neural's pretty cool. I like this kind of form factor with the expression pedal. There's one that I thought was really clean, a nice layout. Forget what it's called. This one. And this. Now, I'm not going to say anything about the audio quality, but this form factor I like, where you have buttons at the bottom, displays in the middle, and knobs at the top, because it's a perfect separation. Like, the displays are close to the buttons and close to the knob, so you can display what the knob does, what the button does, and the displays physically separate the knobs from the buttons, so you don't actually accidentally stand on the knobs when you press the buttons. So this form factor I think is like the most logical. I think this one's pretty good. Potentially one with 4 buttons could be cool. And I would just do 1 display instead of 5, like 1 long display, like this, or something different, or the Ableton push display or something. They put all their effects on that box too. Arturia needs to do that. I'm assuming that was about the neural, which, yeah, I agree. Maybe Maris. Well, the thing is, Arturia, I don't think really aim stuff towards guitarists, but having a hardware device that can host their plugins in general could be nice, like a tabletop one. Maybe Maris LVX. LVX. Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind it. But to answer your question, that's my next project. A hardware effects box, most software. Wait. A hardware VST effects host box in the form factor of Eventide, blah, blah, blah. I would love to make that. I would love to make that with mod. But me making that by myself, no. It's too complicated, man. And setting up a company that has support for all that stuff, it's too complicated. Mod could do it. And I would love to, work as a freelancer for them and design it for them. If they have the money and if they decide to do that, I would love to help. But no, I wouldn't do that on my own, I don't think. I was referring to Eventide regarding the software effects in hardware. Yeah, I'm still into that idea. I still like it. Like the whole concept of the mod still speaks to me, mod devices. But yeah, I always wished that it could support VSTs. Not because I'm a diehard VST fan or because I'm a diehard Windows fan or something. It's just like, that's what everybody has. All the best effects are VSTs. And it's okay if you want to push people towards LV2. Maybe there is a value in LV2 that is better than VST. For people to transition from VSTs to LV2, you have to have an overlap period. Yeah, so you have to support both of them so that people can transition, you know? But going like, everybody is used to plugins, all the plugins they have in VST world, and then having to throw them all away and then go deep into the VST world. It's like, it's too different. And every time I told people about the mod devices, I'd be like, yeah, it's a hardware plugin host. Like it's a hardware device that can use your plugin effects. The first question they would always ask me is like, oh, sick, so I can load up all my plugins on there from like my computer. And I'm like, you can load in plugins, just not all your plugins. And that's the point that loses them, because they're like, oh yeah, cool, I want to put my like I don't know, like fab filter or something on there, and it's like, I wish you could do that, but you can't. Yeah. Yeah, there's a bit of a rant. But you know, I was heavily invested in that project, you know. I really was positive about where it was going. So it's a shame to see something like not going where you want it to go, or not succeeding the way you want it to succeed. And yeah, you get worked up about it, and like, you know, I want it to have success, you know. But you can't win them all. Now that I have access to VSTs in a DAW, all other multi-effects pedals are lackluster. The music scene needs this box to be made, with plenty of headroom for hot synth action. Yeah, I agree. Like, in some ways, I think, I don't know how to say this. I wonder whether it would have made more sense to not start the Dwarf project and instead go balls deep on the Mod Duo X. Or maybe like, because at the time it was kind of like not really, it was kind of underdeveloped. Like, I don't know if the form factor and stuff really made that much sense, but I wonder whether it would have made more sense to just go, let's fucking make an actual like beast desktop device that runs VSTs and runs everything. Yeah. I wish, but it really needed a redesign. The MDX, I totally agree. No disrespect to the guys that worked on it before I got there. It had a lot of power and needed some more I/O. Yeah, no disrespect to the guys. They did what they can. There was a different CEO working there at the time that project started, I think. And they did what they could to push it out quickly. and then start the dwarf. But I don't know. Maybe it would have made more sense to not do the dwarf and to go like let's like keep developing the desktop platform. Yeah, more. I think it could have been a similar form factor to this. Like make it bigger, put a bigger display on it, more knobs on it, more buttons, more assignable stuff. Yeah, I don't know. As I said, like I would love to go back and do that. You know, if they have the resources and the drive to do it. I've got, like, in the time that I was working there, I came up with so many ideas for how to do it. Would love to do it. Just wasn't possible. It was definitely guitar oriented. That MDX could have handled a lot, and it would have been perfect if it could process at least 4 mono and 2 stereo. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it doesn't need like a heap of I/O, it just needs double the I/O. 4 instead of 2. I agree. Yeah, I don't know. Still holding on to some hope that maybe we can do it one day. I'm not them anymore. But if they ever ask me to help and I'm available to do it, I'd be keen. Yes is actually messaging me now. I'm gonna head around to his place after this stream. I told him I'd be there half an hour ago. The other people are there. He's not waiting on me, so at least I hope. Yeah, I'm sort of wondering what to do now. Like, I don't know. I just put these squares in the corners. But I don't know if that makes sense to do that. Or... like, and then I just continue the grid. But then what grid do I continue? Can't really fit another one in there and there. Unless I would change these distances. Hello? What just happened? What the fuck? I'm sorry. We just need a matter synthesizer, so resources are infinite and cost nothing. You could just build stuff because it's useful. We wouldn't need to build stuff anymore, right? Just speak into ChatGPT and it would just like make it for you. Why isn't this moving? What the fuck is going on? Sorry. I had a little freak out just then. Losing my mind a little bit. Still need to design and create utility. AI can help, but it would need guidance. Yeah. Does it need guidance though? And do we need things anymore at that point? Don't know. That's not really good, is it? Then there's a too far away from the display. I don't want that. Nope, I don't want that. Kind of losing my mind a little bit here. I think I've got an idea of what to do. Let's go. Like this. $475. Maybe I will take out this button. What's that? Whoa, almost 420. That's pretty much perfect. Still need to design and create a utility, blah blah blah. What was I saying? Oh yeah. Now, so I think my next project is a desk. As exciting as that sounds. I want to make a desk. I want to have like a decked out battle station, you know? Studio battle station. Motorized MIDI fader / knob controller. Yeah, that too. That maybe will come at some point. I'm also getting really interested in audio over IP, like network audio. And it's really expensive at the moment, and I don't fully understand why it is so expensive. So I'm kind of like considering whether I could make some kind of cheaper options for network audio. Don't know, we'll see. This is kind of perfect. What do you think? If I make this not driven again, make this not driven, put this back to 280, this to 420, blaze it. Yeah, this could work. Then I could put like mounting screws around the edges. What did this become? 11.6. 10.6, that's alright. This should be 10, yep. Yeah. Perhaps this could work. What did I miss? We just rearranged the art room and created a bunch of space. Got to build up the battle station. I need more vertically. Lol. I agree. That would be sick. Did you check out CME Iowa stuff I sent you? Yeah, I checked it out. I signed up to their newsletter. I'm gonna follow that. Yeah, it sounds cool. I talked to Jesse a little bit about it too, and he was like, yeah, it sounds cool. I don't know how much sense it makes if you need to add 3 milliseconds of latency just for it to be wireless. But in some situations, I think it could be still useful, like just in-ear monitoring or something. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I'm thinking like endpoints for different kinds of devices. For example, like I built this vocal booth, and inside the vocal booth I've got lights. I got lights, the microphone plug, and the headphone plug, and a USB port, which I can use for like if I want to have a keyboard in there or something, like to press play, pause, whatever. So it means I need 3 cables going in there. I need a USB cable, a microphone cable, and a headphone cable. And the USB cable provides power for the lights. But what I'm thinking is I could have just an Ethernet port in the top of the, or in wherever in the vocal booth, and you just plug in Ethernet, and the Ethernet cable is plugged into something with power over Ethernet, like a PoE switch. And on the inside, I could have lights that are powered by the power over Ethernet, and I could also have an interface with just one input and one output, and that's powered by power over Ethernet, and the audio is over Ethernet, both channels, like the microphone channel and the headphone channel. And it would mean I would be able to adjust the volume of the microphone inside the booth rather than having to do it outside the booth. and I could adjust the headphone volume, everything like. And I think in theory I should also be able to have like a MIDI over Ethernet if I want like a transport device in there with like play, pause, stop, those kinds of things. So I want to investigate these AVB endpoint kind of devices because it could be useful for some other designs. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Right, I'm gonna do something real quick to make this actually something tangible before I finish up the stream. I'm gonna make a new part. Insert part, insert the skeleton. And I'm gonna make a rectangle. I'm gonna extrude it from here to here. I think that's my sketch, yep. So I got my 3mm plate. Then I'm going to convert entities. Gonna cut out my display hole. And then gonna cut out this. Keep all bodies, yeah, because I want to keep these circles in the sketch. Sorry, I missed your comments. I had this idea of running patch bays with audio lines to each room in a main recording area. Audio over Ethernet would simplify that project. Audio over eternity. Yeah, totally. Running patch bays with audio lines to each room in a main recording area. Oh, fuck, I just realized I wasn't showing my screen before. Yeah, so, yeah, I think audio over Ethernet simplifies a lot of things, especially multi-room stuff. It's just that audio over Ethernet devices right now aren't very common and they're not cheap. But yes, I want to try to change that. Let's see. If I can pattern this linear pattern in this direction, going the other way every 20 millimeters. Wait, no, it's not every 20 millimeters, it's every 13.6 plus 10 divided by 2. So 23.6. Fuck my brain. 11.8. Wait, I can just do it in here. 23.6 divided by 2. 11.8. No. Does it need to be 23.6? It does, okay. Didn't do that. Alright. That would be badass for sure. I agree. I think audio over Ethernet is like the future, unless something else comes up. But yeah, it's kind of weird that nobody's really making devices that use it yet. Well, they are, but just not. It's not very common. But the audio world is so conservative. Like people aren't even ready for like digital, even though like SPDIF and stuff has been around since like the 70s. But it'll get there. Nobody will include MIDI 2.0 because no one else is using MIDI 2.0. Yeah, it's a chicken and egg thing, for sure. Yeah, that's why I want to make devices. I want to make audio over Ethernet devices, because it's like, well, fuck, nobody's going to use it unless we make it, right? I need to do this. What the fuck? Okay, that's fine. What's the problem here? Why isn't this stuff defined? Should be. What's wrong? Okay, that was weird, but whatever. Yeah, but at the moment I'm more excited about designing my new desk. I want to build a desk with like rack slots in it and stuff, but also want to have a touchscreen display built into the desk. Now that sounds kind of weird, but I reckon it's going to be cool. gonna use it. I'll have like macros on there and stuff. Like, what the fuck? Like I'll have scene changing macros for OBS and stuff. You dig? Okay, what's the problem now? Why is this undefined? Come on. What is this annoying shit? Nothing can move. Why is it undefined? It's so annoying. Stupid fucking SolidWorks. What's your fucking problem? Getting so mad. What's the fucking problem? Oh, okay. That's the problem. It's the new problem. It's not the problem that was there before. Okay, but now there's the same problem as before. This is so stupid. I'm gonna murder this program. What did I just do? Okay, maybe it's over-defined? Why would this be defined like this? And then when I move this to horizontal, that becomes undefined. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, defined. Why? Stupid program. Okay, there we go. We got there in the end. Let's look at this part that I haven't saved yet. So let's save it. -1. Let's call it O1, part 1. Let's go back to this. And we'll use this. Okay. New plan. Mirror. I'm being lazy. Being so lazy. God damn it. Oh, this is killing me. I have to go back to that stupid sketch. You still there, Elk? I need someone to cheer me up. Yes, lol. Oh, this is driving me a little bit insane. Just listening to your sweet curses. It do be like that. Dude, you gotta go to Iceland. Iceland was so sick. Alright. This is gonna work. Um, I'm green with jealous rage right now. When do you start your desk project? Good question. Soon. I think maybe once I build this simple proto, at least then like yes, we'll have something to play around with, and then maybe I can like chill off this project for a bit until we find out where all the buttons need to be and stuff. So maybe soon, I don't know. Do you think that would be something I should stream? I think it could be cool. I reckon for sure if I make a video about building it, people would get around it. I think people would like it. I was trying this cool secondary contextual screen product that was coming out on Kickstarter. It was a 16:9 display that could display all sorts of parameters in apps. Couldn't find it. Lol. Yeah, man, you should stream it. Contextual screen? Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I want to do. I just want to build it into the desk. So I don't have to have like a mount or something, and I think it'll look cool. It'll be like a dashboard, I want it to look like I'm in like a spaceship. I'm almost finished this, by the way. All right. Then I just want to add some fillets. I want to fillet all of these. It's going to take a while to select them. Yeah, man, you should stream it. This was a little desktop dashboard. Yeah, that's cool. That's what I want. But that would be sick. One day I'll create a custom desk for my gear. Yeah, maybe I'll design it for you. Or maybe you can use my design, I don't know. Thing is, like, most of my audience is in America, and I'm probably going to be building it like using metric materials. Like all the materials here are like 15 millimeters or like 17 millimeters or whatever. So if I make plans that people can download, I don't know how useful it's going to be for people in America. So I might have to make two versions. A US version and a everywhere else version. Add a conversion scale on the side. Yeah, the only thing is like if I'm making something where it's like we're gonna use 19 millimeter plywood, and it needs to fit together like this. If you can't buy 19 millimeter plywood in the States and you have to use like, I don't know, 3/4 of a um, of a gun handle. um, Sorry, that was a terrible joke. But if you can't buy that same thickness of material, then the design's not going to fit together. If you know what I mean. Like I have to make it the 4 slices of craft cheese. Yeah. 4-ply, we call that. Yeah, I'll have to make another design which is designed with American materials in mind. It's not so much the units, but the materials, just so like somebody who goes to Home Depot in America can find materials to build it. All right, but I think this is done. So check this out. If I hide all these bodies, except this one. So this is what the grid will look like. So this will be a piece of acrylic. I just need to add some mounting holes in it for legs, which I'll do maybe on the next stream. Or maybe I'll do it off stream, I don't know. Because it will take 2 seconds, but I want to end the stream. Yeah, so this is a grid. And you'll be able to insert switches into it, or what's left over, this leftover piece, which will be a square with a hole in it. You'll be able to slot that in there, put a washer on either side, and the washer just needs to be more than 13.6 millimeters in diameter, and then screw in a encoder, and it should just like hold itself in there, I think. So yeah, what do you think? Kind of cool? I think it's kind of cool. Anyway, I was meant to be at Yes's place an hour and 20 minutes ago, so I think I'm going to wrap it up here. By the way, this is about 2 slices of craft cheese. Yes. 3 millimeters thick, actually. Okay, gonna end it. Gonna go have a beer, talk to the boys. Maybe I'll show them a picture and see what they think. And yeah, I'll hopefully do another stream, maybe, I don't know, Monday or Tuesday or something. Yeah, otherwise, Elk, thank you so much for being here and keeping me company as always. We'll get over there and enjoy the day. Catch you next stream. Thanks, man. Yeah, catch you on the next one too. And I'm gonna watch more of your videos that you've been posting lately too, because I need to catch up on those. Anybody else watching, go and check out Elk on his socials on Instagram and YouTube, because he also makes some really cool videos and really cool music. Yeah, anybody who's watching this later, thank you so much for clicking, and I hope you're enjoying the project so far. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave a comment. And yeah, if you like the video, then it would be much appreciated if you give it a like on whichever platform you're watching on. And if you're not already, consider subscribing or following. My main goal is to get more subscribers on YouTube. So if you use YouTube and you like YouTube, then I would appreciate a follow there. And that's also where I'll upload finished videos of these kind of projects, where it's not just the working streams. Yeah, so that's everything. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.